is now 7 o'clock.
In just a few days, the expressways and trains coming into Busan will be bustling as people they come back to their hometowns for the Chuseok holiday. It is a welcome flow of people back home, but it's also a testament to how many people, especially young people, have left the city. And now, this metropolitan city has become the hometown as opposed to a home for a large population and businesses. Busan City has established its population countermeasures aimed at slowing down the population decline and responding to the mid and long-term effects of these population changes. The city's population has fallen under 3.3 million, and this is the last threshold that we need to hold on to. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Thursday, September 12th on befm, 부산영어방송. Good morning, Wavers. I hope you're all doing well. What a great feeling it is. I literally just turned on our YouTube channel. I literally just opened it up and already people are like greeting each other, saying hello, and I do appreciate it. So I wanted to give a shout out to all the early birds who have made it in real early. All right, so Chuseok. Chuseok may be a metric of how young or old a city is. For instance, if you have more people leaving the city, this could be a marker that the population is generally young. And these young people, they are moving, they are going back to their hometowns. On the other hand, if you have more people coming into a city of a town during the holiday, it may mean that there are more parent-aged or elderly people living there. Well, we know that Busan's reputation as the second most populous city, we're hanging by a thread, like literally, with over 100,000 young people having moved to the capital area in the last decade alone. So in order to combat this, the city this month announced their population strategy. Busan City is reorganizing its population policy from the people's perspective, covering issues of things like housing, education, and childcare. And this includes expanding public childcare within schools and financial support for even grandparents who take care of their grandchildren oftentimes. The city will also expand public housing for young people and seniors. It's also looking to bring in more migrant workers and international students, as well as tourists. So yes, anything and everything to boost our city's population and get it thriving once again, that is the common goal. Now it's time for our text topic. All right, are you ready? What were you like early on, in the early days of your, let's say, career? What kind of mistakes did you make that still make you cringe? 자, 나는 어떤 사회 초년생이었나? Meaning that first step into adulthood with your career. 그리고 내 실수담. 생각만 해도 아직도 다시 시간만 돌릴 수 있다면 like can I go back and change things? 분명히 그러면 에피소드 있을 것 같은데요. So let's hear about the early days of your career. You can send in your messages to BFM's live stream live chat on YouTube. So go to YouTube, search for BEFM or 부산영어방송. You have to subscribe, log in, and then you can chat away with our other waivers. Also, on your phone, pound 9050, shop 9050. That's going to cost you 101. You can reach me for free through our Kakao Talk channel as well. So it's the same. Search for BEFM or 부산영어방송 to send in your messages, and you can send in photos as well. You can listen to us in many ways these days. 90.5 and 103.3 FM on the radio dial. Also, like I said, on the NoTube channel in real time, you can watch again on that platform as well. And on our Popang app as well. We have so many ways to listen to us and to get in touch with us. So with that in mind, let's get to what we have for you today. So first up, we have Lydia for Beyond the Headlines, and we have Haeyeon coming in for City Insights. And also for our special interview. Oh, we've been waiting to talk about this one. The U.S. presidential debate. Vice President Kamala Harris, former President Donald Trump. They went toe-to-toe yesterday. And so we're going to be covering that with an expert so that you can stay tuned for that. And by the way, BFM is conducting its annual survey. So it's a listener's survey. What it is basically they're asking questions about your favorite show. You know which program to click, right? I'm going to twist your arm into saying Morning Wave in Busan. Only Morning Wave in Busan. I know we have some nice people here, right? Oh, I listened to that. No, you got to pick your favorite show. Which show gives you the most information, gives you the liveliest conversations? And think about it. All the chatting with your other wavers, there's only one show. Anyhow, enough about us. So I'll be back with today's headlines. It is now 7:06. These are today's headlines. Police investigating 513 deepfake sex crime cases, up 73% in just 40 days. Police are investigating 513 cases of deepfake sex crimes, a more than 70% jump in about 40 days in a special police crackdown. Country adds over 100,000 jobs in August. South Korea added more than 100,000 jobs for the second consecutive month in August, but jobs in the construction sector fell by the most ever amid an industry slowdown and extreme heat wave. Autumnal heat wave hits peak with Incheon seeing record high temperature. The September heat wave hit its peak yesterday with Incheon marking its highest ever September temperatures and Seoul its second highest. Both cities saw their daytime highs exceed 34 degrees Celsius. Football player Son Jun-ho claims innocence in match-fixing scandal. South Korean footballer Son Jun-ho yesterday denied match-fixing and bribery charges levied on him by China, claiming that Chinese authorities coerced him into a false admission of bogus charges. The West likely to allow Ukraine to use long-range missiles in Russia. The U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken strongly hinted that the White House is about to lift its restrictions on Ukraine using long-range weapons supplied by the West on key military targets inside Russia. And these are today's headlines. It's time for Busan Updates. We have Haley in the studio with us. Good morning.
Good morning.
We're almost there.
We are one more day.
Kind
so
of.
close.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're counting down D-2 for the long weekend. So before we jump into our updates, what were you like in the early days of your career?
I was so eager to please. And I would say yes to everything, which hindsight, I didn't need to. And then I would we have that, because as a writer here, when I first started, we have that kind of arbitrary deadline for not now, but way back when it was 8 p.m. And I thought that was deadline. If I don't keep it, I'm deadline. So I was at an amusement park in Seoul, and I had my laptop in the locker, and I rushed to send it. And then, I didn't need to do that.
Yes.
Yeah, I really didn't need to do that. No.
So now we know.
Yeah, now we know. Now I'm just I'm going to send it. I don't know, before the show. And so I'm like, well, if there's an election, I'm like, I'm just going to write it the morning of. Yeah.
Right. Well, what about like going out to like company dinners or eating out? with
So
them?
I may have been very eager to please, but I may also have been a little 눈치 없어, not like reading the cues. Well, okay, I was also raised in the States. Not an excuse, but kind of. I'm using it. I'm pulling the card. We went to 회식. It was at the academy. Like, I was clearly the youngest person by far. And we went to one of those Korean barbecue places, and people are grilling. And guess what I did?
What did you do? You just sat there and smiled?
And I was 감사합니다. 네. Yeah. So my
Didn't
one of
read
the
the room.
older teachers told me like later, he's like, I can't believe you like didn't. And I was like, you know what?
What did you say?
Well, I wanted to say
Something else.
Yeah, the things I can't say on air. But I was like, 진짜요? 네, 지금 할게요. 하면 되지. But I'm just like, really? But do we have like, can this be like, can meat grilling, especially if it's beef, be on meritocracy? Because do you really want a 25-year-old idiot that I was 9 years ago? You don't want her on your meat duty.
Yeah, because I will burn your meat.
Yeah.
Not anymore, though. Yes. No. All right, we're going to jump into our first update. You know, adding to our higher electricity bill will be a higher water bill. Starting next month. Can anything not get higher?
No, just that's the world we live in.
Yes.
So water rates for water usage in Busan will go up starting next month, then again next year, then again the following year. I kid you not. So Busan City announced that the water usage rates will go up by 7% starting in October.
Yes.
And this is the first hike in 6 years, though. On top of this, they're raising the prices by 8% come next year and the year after. But here's a little bit of good news. They're getting rid of that 누진세, the progressive tax. So your rates will be the same no matter how much water you use. That's because the Busan Water headquarters, they've been struggling with a large deficit for the past 5 years. Number one, high costs like electricity and chemical treatments that they need to treat the water. That has raised the deficit to 81 billion won. And also because they need to pay for repairs and restoration of the aged infrastructure, they just need more money.
Yes, I get that, but how much are we talking about?
All right, for next month, per every cubic meter of water usage, homes will pay 791. Once again, that's a flat rate. Businesses, 1,351. Public baths, 1,161. And industrial usage, 161.
Okay.
But then by the end of this 3-year phased increase, an average household for water usage, let's look at a single person household, they would pay 361 extra on top of their normal water bill.
Okay.
For a 4-person household, that'll be 1,441 extra.
I see. Okay, so slight increase, but once again, a flat rate. They're not going to have the progressive rates anymore, the tax. All right, next, going to the water source itself, the city is taking extra steps as the heat, of course, has led to this prolonged algal bloom over the Nakdong River.
Right. So we reported on this yesterday how there's been a long alert over the Nakdong River because of the toxic blue-green algae. So that effect has been in place for over 50 days at this point.
Sure.
So the city's water authorities are taking the extra measures for water safety. So good news is that there's never been algal toxins found in our water that we drink or we bathe out of, the water that comes out of our faucet.
Yes.
So that means the filtration system and the treatment process is working, doing the job it's supposed to. So the city is also working on a 20 billion won activated charcoal treatment facility that'll improve efficiency in removing harmful material and those smelling agents that make your water smell. Unfortunately, the city says that algal blooms are a part of nature, so that there's no way to stop this from happening, just taking steps to make sure that the algae, they don't come into our water system.
Indeed. Okay. Next up, Busan City is working on getting a branch of the world-famous Pompidou Center. But there's some controversy over the process, so let's talk about that.
Right. So recently, Busan City and the Pompidou Center in France, they signed an MOU for the center to open its Busan branch, and the goal is to have the construction done and open the center by 2031.
Yes.
But one media report said that the city told the city council, they reported to the council, that after Pompidou finishes its current contract in Seoul, Busan will have the exclusive rights to the one and only Pompidou Center outside of France. So the report said the city made a false statement about that to the council. So Busan City refuted this, saying that it told the council that Busan would have its own unique exhibition, not the only center. So there will be other branches around the world. And then on top of this, Councilman Chun Won-seok of the Democratic Party called for the plans to be reviewed from the beginning, saying that the money, that's a problem. It'll cost 110 billion won just to build the center, and the city will need to spend extra billions around brand licensing each year.
I see.
He also raised accusations of personal connections to the mayor in this process. So the city expressed that politicization of the issue, saying that there's no truth to the mayor's personal relations having played a role on the issue. However, some civic groups did protest this yesterday. So some controversy may continue.
Well, let's move on to our final update. News many people have been waiting for, the Busan to Bali flight. It's going to open next month.
It is. So mark your calendars. Air Busan is launching its Busan to Bali flight from October 30th.
Okay.
So this will run 4 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday. So the flight departing from Bali will be at 6:10 p.m. and to Bali from Busan at 6:10 p.m. and land in Bali a little after midnight the following day. So that means if you leave work early on Friday, so you could potentially, or Thursday, you could get there by Friday morning.
Yes.
And from Bali to Busan coming back, it'll leave at 1:15 a.m. and arrive in Busan 9:10 a.m. The flight will be 6 hours and 55 minutes, so just shy of 7 hours.
Yes.
So this will greatly increase convenience for people traveling to Indonesia. Previously, you've had to go all the way up to Incheon for that.
Sure.
So Bali being a very popular vacation destination, that's great news. And even to those traveling to Indonesia for work. There's a promotion going on starting from right now until tomorrow for discount tickets.
Well, that's definitely welcome news. Thank you for the updates, Haley. Now back to you, the listeners out there. Today, we are talking about the early days of your career when you were the newbie, as they say, in the office. What kind of newbie were you? Did you make any kind of faux pas or mistakes? Maybe some that you still look back upon and wish you could kind of redo. So also any company-related stories, let us know about that. Here's your traffic and weather. It is now 7:17. Here's your traffic report. It's looking slow on the Dongso overpass from Hwangyang Ramp to the old Gaegeum tollgate. Also backed up on Lino Samsung-daedo from Myeongji Underpass to Shinho Bridge as well. Currently, it's 26 degrees Celsius under cloudy skies. The daytime high is expected to go up to 33. There are chances of showers in the middle of the day, so you might want to have a small umbrella with you. Looking at the weather across the nation, rain is forecast for today, with the central region seeing rain into the evening and night hours. Some regions will see up to 80 millimeters, so please be careful. There will be a slight drop in temperatures after the rain, but it is still going to be warmer than usual. This was your traffic and weather.
Are you an early bird? Are you up to date on the news? Are you a trendsetter? For all of the biggest issues from Busan to the world and useful information you need, right here on Morning Wave in Busan.
It is time for News Digest. And so with Haley, our first bit of news, we're going to talk about early admissions, sushi. That's going on right now. And there's been a huge push of aspiring medical students for the upcoming CSAT, right?
Right. So two different facets for 정시, the CSATs, and 수시, the early admissions. Let's go to the CSATs, 수능 first. Because the number of high school graduates who have applied for the CSATs, that figure has reached the highest in 21 years. So according to the Korea Institute of Curriculum and Evaluation, or KAIS, a total of 522,000 test takers have applied for the CSATs for this November.
Okay.
65% are current high school seniors. 31% are retakers or high school graduates. So there was an overall 3.6% increase in applicants, and that's despite the decrease in overall student population. But a notable 4.3% increase in applicants who have already graduated from high school.
Yes.
So this is clearly connected to the medical school quota expansion. So according to 종로학원, this is likely a big increase in retakers with top grades who are aiming for medical school. And there's likely also going to be a spike in 반수생. So these are the people who are already in university. They're freshmen in universities that have completed their first semester, but they're going to take the exam again to not transfer, but to go back to year one once again.
Right.
So they are looking to likely retake the exam as well. Also, a notable increase in students with GEDs, 검정고시, that was the highest since 1995. And this, though, it likely has its roots in COVID, with some students not adjusting to in-person classes. And I know a lot of top students have also dropped out to take the GED and get ready for medical school.
Indeed. So what subjects are popular?
Another testament to these, the increase in students likely aiming for medical school, 49% chose calculus in math, and that's usually the required subject for medical school. Another interesting aspect, 51%, so a majority applied for social studies. So in Korea, and you can choose either one of the two or both, 사탐 or 과탐, which is 사탐 is social sciences exploration, 과학 탐구, sciences exploration.
Yes.
This is apparently colloquially called the 사탐 run, with more universities' natural sciences major also allowing for social studies 수능 scores. So some students in the 이과 range, natural sciences, but maybe not excelling in sciences, they tend to choose social sciences as their optional subject.
I
So
see.
that's definitely an interesting makeup that's going on. By the way, this year's 수능 is on November 11th.
Oh, so that's coming up actually real soon.
Right, right.
And we'll have more about that. But what about early admissions?
Right. So early admissions, by the way, I misspoke. That's November 8th. But for early admissions, yesterday was day 3 of early admissions for the newly expanded medical school quota. And schools have gotten 11 times the quota in applicants. So,
11?
Yeah. So as of 6 p.m. last night, 32,000 applied for the 2,978 spots across 39 medical schools. So we're looking at nearly 11-to-1 competition ratio. For the top school, Seoul National University, they're looking at 16 applicants to every spot available.
Right.
So most schools have until today for their applications, but Seoul National University and Korea University, they ended their applications earlier, so it's closed right now. But given that there's still one more day left today, and a handful of schools are actually still in the middle of their application process, so they have a couple more days to go, that competition ratio, 11-to-1, will likely go up even further.
All right. So that is a snapshot of what's going on with admissions into university, especially for medical school. Recently, we've seen kind of some mixed messages and policies regarding bank loans. So we're going to kind of take a deep dive into this. What's going on?
Right. So if you were trying to get a bank loan for a home mortgage or even a rental, 전세, you got a lot of mixed messages. At first, you couldn't, and then next there were some exceptions. So and that's because in South Korea, household loans, 가계부채, extended by local lenders, local bankers, grew at a record pace in August.
I see.
So banks have been taking tough stances on household loans, both for home mortgages and for rental 전세 loans. And that's because the financial authorities have directed the banks to stop the spike in home loans. But then they also told them to at the same time, pick out those people who are actually in need, who are not taking out loans for real estate investment, but actually are taking these loans to live there. So they are working with this tall order.
Yes.
So in the recent week or so, banks have then backtracked on this somewhat this tough stance on loans and have begun coming up with exceptions and are advertising these exceptions. So for instance, Shinhan Bank began allowing home mortgages, so they put like a stop on mortgages, but then they're allowing exceptions only for those who do not already own their own homes.
Yes.
They put in this exceptions clause for those who are selling their current homes for the new home as well. So you can be a brief multiple homeowner if you're going to sell your home and get a loan and then apply for a new home. KB Gukmin Bank, also similar pattern, this month banned mortgages for new homes in the capital area for single homeowners, but also added an exceptions clause for the same reason.
Yes.
If you're going to sell off your current home and buy a new one, you can get a loan. Uri Bank also adding an exceptions clause for those who have transferred jobs or schools to the capital.
Okay.
So that would imply that they do need homes there instead of real estate investments, or for people who are getting married.
Right. But the thing is this. Such flip-flopping is causing much, confusion and anxiety for the general public. But this is apparently upon orders from basically the higher ups, right?
Right. So namely the Financial Supervisory Service or the FSS. So upon this confusion, the chairman of the FSS actually apologized. So we're talking about Chairman Lee Bo-kyun. He convened a meeting with the heads of 18 banks and said that, but he also did urge banks to continue curbing household loans, saying that should the country fail to keep their household debt at a proper level, it may lead to increased economic burden by expanding market volatility and working as an obstacle to growth.
Yes.
And he also noted that local banks depend too much on real estate loans for their side of business, saying that home-related loans currently make up for more than 78% of household loans that are extended by banks.
Sure.
He did, however, apologize for not sending detailed messages and positions, which cause confusions for bank employees and citizens' inconveniences and difficulties.
But at the same time, one major international banking organization warned that South Korea's high housing debt is actually suppressing its growth.
Right. So there is some reason for concern in terms of how much bank loans we have to home mortgages. So we're talking about this message from the Bank of International Settlements, or BIS. It's kind of considered to be the central bank for all central banks.
Okay.
So it published its report recently saying that private loans, so bank loans, not government loans, expanded by a large margin in most emerging nations. But here's the thing about these bank loans, private loans, they do have its benefits because it is injecting liquidity into the market. So that increases access to financial assets. So normal people, average people can buy homes without having to own millions already. And it does increase investment. However, the report also says that at a certain point, there's like a breaking point, it does hinder growth because after you buy the home, if it's too much, then households face financial pressure to pay back that loan plus interest, especially interest in this day and age.
Yes.
So a lot of developing countries, emerging economies are still kind of in the sweet spot where these loans do stimulate growth. But, and here's the big but, the BIS says some countries, and they named South Korea and China, were actually past that breaking point where loans stimulate growth, but actually they can hold back growth because we're kind of being burdened by the higher interest rates.
I see. So thanks for breaking it down for our waivers this morning. All right, for our last item, we're going to go to Japan, where its ruling party is basically battling to find its new leader.
Right. That's because current Prime Minister Fumio Kishida will be stepping down amid his record low approval ratings.
Yes.
So this is likely from the rising cost of living and the corruption scandal within the party involving some political funds.
Yes.
So this is apparently a 9-person race within the Japan's ruling party. But amongst the candidates, Koizumi Shinjiro has risen as a possible major contender.
Okay.
And that also raises the possibility of him becoming the country's youngest prime minister.
Oh.
So Koizumi in recent polls has ranked at the top. And by the way, if the name sounds familiar, that's because his father is Junichiro Koizumi, who was the prime minister between 2001 and 2006.
Yes.
So he's the second son. So if Koizumi wins the election and becomes prime minister, he would be doing so at the age of 43 years and 6 months. And he would break the record of Ito Hirobumi of 1885, who became prime minister at 44 years old.
I see.
Then that would also solidify the family's legacy. He was already the youngest cabinet minister in the respective Abe and Suga cabinets, thanks to, once again, the family legacy.
Yes.
The party's actually counting on him and his youthful image to change their image, the party's image, and kind of help them out of this political funds scandal. In Korea, he's humorously known as 펀쿨색 the person, because as the environment minister, he said that climate change should be dealt with in a fun, cool, and sexy way. And this is a double-edged sword. So once again, going back to his young and youthful image.
Yes.
But also he has been in trouble a little bit for making too light of important issues and situations, because fine, fun, cool, but really that third part kind of did raise eyebrows of, we're talking about climate change. So, and also there's the more serious matter of if he does become the prime minister, how he would handle South Korea and Japan relations, especially pertaining to the historical wrongs, because as cabinet minister, as the environment minister, he has visited the controversial Yasukuni Shrine in person. His father did so as well while he was serving as prime minister, and that is definitely a controversial issue.
Indeed it is. That does not bode well, but we'll see if he does indeed become the leader. We'll follow that story. Thank you for all the news, and we'll check in with you in hour number 2. Thank you, Haley.
See you in a bit.
All right, it's time for us to take a breather. So here it is. This is I'm Born to Run by American authors.
I'm born to run down rocky cliffs. Give me grace, bury my sins. Shattered glass and black holes can't hold me back from where I need to go. Yellow hills and valleys deep, I watch them move under my feet. Stranger things have come and gone to see the world and take the throne. Don't hold back. Oh, I won't hold back. I'm gonna live my life like I'm gonna die young, like it's never enough, like I'm born to run. I'm gonna spend my time like tomorrow won't come, do whatever I want, like I'm born to run. I wanna see Paris, I wanna see Tokyo, I wanna be careless, even if I break my bones. I'm gonna live my life like I'm gonna die young, like it's never enough, like I'm born to run.
welcome back, everybody. Today we're talking about the city's population and demographics. So we are a super age city. We can't get away from that. And the youth population, 25 to 39, only accounts for 30% of the total population, the second lowest out of the entire country. Also, the marriage rate was fairly low at just barely 31%, lower than the national average of nearly 34%. There was also an interesting correlation between one's marital status and jobs, with people who were married showing a 3% higher employment rate. So this could have some sort of connection to the fact that among young single people, 54% lived with their parents, or what we call, kangaroos. kangaroo족 얘기 많이 했잖아요. Statistics and experts, they show that the rate of increase of these so-called kangaroo youths are correlated with the region's youth employment. So yes, it's all kind of like full circle. It's all connected, right? And that is a snapshot of what's going on here. All right, back to our text topic. What were you like in the early days of your career when you were the newbie? Or maybe you are a newbie right now. You could be, this is a nice way, 초년생, or can we just say 뽀시래기? Yes, is that okay? So, 물론 초년생 이야기도 듣고 싶지만, how about this? I'm just going to throw it out there. Let's do a 이행시, but are you listening? 뽀시래기로 이행시 한번 들어볼까요? 이행시가 아니라 사행시네요. 4 characters, right? 사행시, so 뽀시래기. Okay, so I was thinking about this during our song break. So I'm going to go first. Okay, here we go. 뽀뽀하면 싫어할 수 있어요. And then 레 힘들어요. How about let's get it? Let's get it. And by the way, yes, you should never impose yourself. Unwanted, physical contact, it's a no-no. So I was trying to make an example. By the way, look back on your past. 우리 과거를 추억하면서 현재 뽀시래기 분들에게 더 화이팅 해주시고, let's hear your 사행시. And let's get to Cat's Pick for today. For today's Cat Pick, how could I resist? Well, the clip, you can listen for yourself, and then we have a special interview on this. In hour number 2, this was the debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. This is from Wall Street Journal.
Kamala Harris, let's have a good debate.
Nice to see you. Have fun.
Thank you. If Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban. Understand, in his Project 2025, there would be a national abortion, a monitor that would be monitoring your pregnancies, your miscarriages.
I'm not signing a ban, and there's no reason to sign a ban because we've gotten what everybody wanted. Democrats, Republicans, and everybody else, and every legal scholar wanted it to be brought back into the states, and the states are voting. And it may take a little time, but for 52 years, this issue has torn our country apart. She's a Marxist. Everybody knows she's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist professor in economics, and he taught her well.
You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom.
I want to get the war settled. I know Zelensky very well, and I know Putin very well. I have a good relationship, and they respect your president, okay? They respect me. They don't respect Biden. How would you respect him? Why? For what reason? He hasn't even made a phone call in 2 years to Putin, hasn't spoken to anybody. They don't even try and get it. That is a war that's dying to be settled.
Understand why the European allies and our NATO allies are so thankful that you are no longer president and that we understand the importance of the greatest military alliance the world has ever known, which is NATO, and what we have done to preserve the ability of Zelensky and the Ukrainians to fight for their independence. Otherwise, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv with his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland. And why don't you tell the 800,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania how quickly you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator who would eat you for lunch.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame.
I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
So much was said. I wish we had like 10 hours to do this. So you heard for yourself some of the snippets, but we'll delve into this later on in hour number 2. But really, cats and dogs, pets being eaten? This was Cat's Pick for today.
Stay tuned. You're listening to Morning Wave in Busan.
It is now time for Beyond the Headlines. We have Lydia here. Are you okay? I know you're not feeling well.
Yeah, I'm just a little bit under the weather. So if I sound a little bit, I don't know.
We fully understand. But thank you
Yes.
so much for coming in, and I hope you feel better.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, yes. Hey, so today we're talking about when you first started working in your career, when you were a newbie. Is there anything you can look back on and think like, oh, why did I say that? Why did I do that? Like those cringe-worthy moments.
Yes, I remember. I think this was my first internship where I was like getting paid for it. I am looking back in retrospect. It was a very valuable experience. However, I think I was probably, if I were to have that intern today,
Yes.
I would be rolling my eyes.
You would be rolling your eyes
Yes.
at you,
At me.
the intern.
The intern.
Because why? Like, what in particular?
Because I would frequently leave work early.
You would frequently leave work. What? As an intern, you would leave early?
As an intern, I would leave like 10, 15 minutes early. I'd be like, I gotta go catch the train.
That's not even like
The train that comes
that's
every
like
3 minutes.
before. That's cutting out early.
I would be like, I'm done with my work and I'm leaving.
I'm speechless.
And I would be like, not done with work.
Oh no.
Yes.
That's a doozy of a story.
Yes.
Yes. But Lydia is reformed now.
Yeah,
She's so
I actually
responsible.
leave early, but I do finish my work.
She
now.
came to our show even though she's feeling under the weather. That's how responsible she is.
Oh,
no
thank
longer.
you. I love that connection you're making.
Yeah, no longer
This
that
is
intern, right?
Very 흐뭇해. 흐뭇한 ending.
Yes,
Thank
yes. All right. Well, let's jump into Beyond the Headlines. What do you have for us?
Well, let's dive into a growing financial trend today.
Yes.
So last week we talked about this trend called tradwife. This week I have another trend among young workers called soft saving.
Soft saving. What is this?
Yes. So unlike the traditional goal of saving as much as possible for the future and retiring early, this trend focuses more on spending money now, enjoying life, and saving a bit later for, later. Generation Z is leading the charge here.
Yes.
According to a report by Intuit, they value experiences over money and embrace something called the soft life.
Okay.
It's all about comfort, mental wellness, and personal growth. They're also making financial decisions, Gen Zs are making based on their personal beliefs. So, for example, instead of just looking for the cheapest option, they'll spend more on a brand that would you say align with their values, like choosing cruelty-free beauty products or supporting local businesses with friendly packaging.
So people are asking, is it soft saving? Yes, that's what Lydia said, soft saving. And that it's pretty much a different approach compared to maybe past or older generations who really focus more on saving and investing like for the future, for their nest egg, as you say, right?
Exactly. And this shift is reflected in the numbers too. So for example, in the United States, the savings rates has dropped to 3.9% last year,
Yes.
which was way below the 8.5 average from the last decade. So, you can think of like some of the factors like inflation and the post-pandemic rebound. All those things are influencing this trend. But Gen Z is also prioritizing enjoying life right now. Another great example is how they're choosing experiences over goods, like material stuff. You see them spending on traveling or like unique hobbies instead of just saving money in the bank. Many would rather take a backpacking trips to places like Bali or Spain or attend music festivals than save for something they might not be able to enjoy until years down the line.
Yes. I'm getting a better picture of what you're talking about. But what about retirement? Are they still thinking about it in the same way as non-Gen Zers?
Yeah, and that's another shift. A lot of younger workers aren't fixated on the idea of retiring.
Yes.
Or like retiring early even at all. In fact, some don't mind the thought of working well into their later years as well. So data shows that at least in Korea, they're still contributing to retirement plans. So they're not ignoring the future entirely we're talking about here, but they're definitely more focused on finding a balance between saving for tomorrow and like enjoying today.
I see. Well, isn't there a trend that young people are like being extreme about like their budget, like not spending too much right now?
Right. And, let's shift to another trend that ties closely to what we talked about earlier. This one is called underconsumption core. I know there's a lot of like new terms that we're coming up with nowadays.
Yes.
Underconsumption core. And it's becoming popular as more people push back against overconsumption and the endless need to buy new things. It's basically about living with less and being more mindful about what we buy today.
Yes.
So instead of showing off like, ooh, I bought this and I bought this, or oh, I have this gadget for my house, like on social media, people are embracing this lifestyle where, they're kind of using the same product for years, which is like normal, but like if you watch like a video clip online of like a person using the same product over and over again, that's like not as like exciting as like, oh, I have this new product.
Like unboxing a new something.
This like does like this thing and this product does that thing. But we're like so used to seeing that. But this under consumption core is like using the same furniture that's been handed down from your like parents, or using like one kind of shampoo instead of like 5 different bottles of shampoo.
Who has 5? Do people have 5?
I would say like 3. Like the one is for like moisturizing, one is for like
I have 3 also though.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or like the body wash. Like some days you want like sweet smell, and some days you want.
Sometimes you want citrus.
Yes.
You want to smell different. Yes.
But the whole idea here is to prioritize quality and longevity over constantly chasing new trends.
I see. Quality and longevity. Okay, I get it. So it's kind of the exact opposite of what we've been saying. Like all these like really extravagant influencers who are unboxing, something new all the time, and they really, splurge.
Right.
That's the kind of the image they portray.
And, the under consumption core is the flip side of what we've been seeing from influencers who are always promoting the latest, like these must-have items, like a new pair of jeans or a new version of like this new phone that's coming out. Have you been following this new phone, the version that's coming out that looks exactly basically the same, but they're like charging a lot of money for it. Influencers often get paid or gifted products to create content, which makes their extravagant spending habits justifiable, or it's like normalized, but it's totally unattainable for most people. And the underconsumption crowd is pushing back on that, saying, you know, you don't need to buy new things all the time to be happy. And it's like when you're buying something, it's like you're putting a mini Band-Aid on a crack of like a giant concrete wall. It's like,
I like
it
that
doesn't
metaphor.
solve. Yes. And honestly, people are just kind of, I think, fed up with keeping up with all these like unattainable things like you supposedly
It is so
need.
unattainable, and let's face it, much of it is fake. Much of it is like, you know, just for the aesthetics, because
Right.
it's grammable, right? And by the way, people are like obsessed with our 3 shampoos for some reason. They're really like curious, like, what are the 3 shampoos for?
Are we not doing that? Is it just me?
No, I confess I have 3 shampoos.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
for me personally, I have one that's like for like damage ends,
Yes.
and then I have one for because I have like bleached hair,
Yes.
so I try to like use this purple shampoo.
I know which
to
one.
neutralize the
Yes,
color. And then I also have one that's this one might, I don't know, it's funny, but I use this one when I don't have enough time to shower. So I use this one just to like
Hurry up.
hurry up.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. Yes.
And there's also like one where it's like shampoo and conditioner combined.
Together.
It's like a 2-in-1.
2-in-1.
That's also the one when I'm like running
In a
out
hurry.
of time.
Yes,
in
yes.
a hurry.
So just in case people were wondering, because people are very curious about,
Yeah.
I have 3 shampoos. Yes, I have mine for different, for other things. But anyways, yes.
Yes. And I mean, also, you know, people are realizing that fast fashion and mass consumerism are creating like it's waste, and we like want to do something about it, right?
Well, aren't there also other Gen Z spending habits that are trending? Because we want to know. We want to be in the know.
Yeah, we want
to live vicariously through Gen Z, because not all of us are Gen Z
I mean,
anymore.
it's like Gen
Yes.
Zs aren't always leading the wrong lifestyle or anything like that. It's sometimes they do come up with
Good
really
ideas.
good ideas, and I
Yes.
think the biggest strength of Gen Z generation is how they're so adaptable and like flexible.
Yes.
And there's also this thing called loud budgeting. Have you ever heard of it?
Oh, what's this?
It's a money saving technique that involves saying no to social opportunities. So you say no to dinner with a friend. You say no to your Mexican destination wedding. When, you know, that puts your financial goals in jeopardy.
Yes, yes.
And what it involves is also you're telling people that's the reason you aren't going. I mean, it's like sometimes it's like unfortunately frowned upon when you're like, hey, you want to go do this? And they're like, no, I don't have money for it. And like that's like one way to like kind of drift that friendship away from each other. But you know, but if you're a true friend, you should understand that.
Oh,
right?
I agree that, you know, everybody's financial situation is a little bit different. Right. And we should be very, you know, open-minded about it.
Exactly.
And not be so like, oh, you know, and
Right.
be judgmental.
Right. And, you know, you should be loud budgeting if you want to. Also, another hot budgeting trend is no or low spending months, which is, you know, you give up alcohol, like restaurant food, takeout food delivery,
entire month?
or shopping for clothes or beauty products for entire month, or even just cutting off that, you know, this TV subscription fee that you have. Instead, you prep your food, or you bring your lunch to work, or you finally ask that friend to pay you back. That's also a technique. Also, there's 짠테크. 짠테크 is apparently trending in Korea right now. Can you guess what that is?
Basically being a 짠돌이 and 짠순이.
Right.
Like very, very frugal.
Yeah,
No?
but
Yes?
also very strategic.
Yes.
Apparently, there are a lot of apps nowadays where if you count your steps, you get like cash back.
Oh, yeah.
Or like you're like clicking something, like you're like growing, like you gamify it, and you
My
get money
sister,
back.
like, yeah, she's like, give me your phone. I was like, what is this? And she tried to put it on my phone. I uninstalled it.
My friend recommended me that I download this one particular app where every time I go near someone who has the same app, I'll get like cash back. And then I realized that the downturn was I was addicted to it.
You would go around with your phone
on my phone
looking for people.
Yeah, I was like going near people.
Who has this app?
And I was like, this is like not worth.
Interesting.
Yeah, so.
Well, we're going to call it a wrap for today. But by the way, ahead of time, happy Chuseok.
Oh, happy Chuseok, everyone.
I know, and I hope you feel better.
Yeah, I think I'll be fed and sleeping in, and I'll be okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Lydia.
Yeah, see you next week.
All right. So this was our diligent Lydia at work with us today. We're going to end it with this one. 가끔 by Piron. This is requested by Taejin Waver. Enjoy. I'll be back at 8.
닿을 수 없는 그런 날들이 아직도 가끔 그리운가 봐요. 빛이 사라지던 아득한 하루에 살아온 그때의 그날의 나에게 가끔 나의 일기 속에 그때의 나에게 가끔 해주고 싶은 말 잘하고 있다면 그대로만 꿋꿋이 버티며 또 한 걸음 앞으로 나가면 돼. 세상을 부정하고 욕하며 부러지지는 마. 모든 건 과정일 뿐이야. 눈물을 닦으며 또다시 일어나 너를 위해. 해주고
어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
부산 글로벌 도시재단 대표이사 전용호입니다. 부산은 물류, 금융, 영상, 관광, 첨단 산업 등 핵심 분야에서 또 한 번의 도약을 준비하고 있습니다. 글로벌 허브 도시 부산의 비전은 부산을 넘어 대한민국의 균형 발전을 촉진할 새로운 계기가 될 것입니다. 부산 글로벌 도시재단은 세계 시민을 연결하는 네트워크로 도시 외교의 중추적 역할을 담당하고 글로벌 부산의 미디어 플랫폼인 부산영어방송을 통해 영어하기 편한 도시 부산을 만들고 있습니다. 글로벌 허브 도시 부산, 그 중심에 부산 글로벌 도시재단이 있습니다.
Busan Global City Foundation leads the Global Hub City Busan.
엄마, 나 용돈 좀 올려줘.
이거 친구가 준 거예요.
아이들의 일상을 관심 있게 들여다보면 도박으로 힘겨워하는 아이들의 구조 신호가 들립니다. 다양한 형태로 드러나는 청소년 도박, 그들의 구조 신호에 응답해주세요. 공익광고협의회.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
Good morning, Dynamic Busan.
Yeah, you're waking up. Time to shake it up. Tell the world good morning and find out what's going on.
Well, hi there, folks. There's everything from comedy to lively chat to music.
Broadcasting from a room about the size of your closet.
All calls are recorded.
What show is this?
Live from Korea's dynamic city, this is Morning Wave in Busan.
I'm sorry, who'd you say you were?
It's now 8 o'clock. This is News Highlights. Police investigating 513 deepfake sex crime cases. Police are investigating 513 cases of deepfake sex crimes, a more than 70% jump in about 40 days in a special police crackdown, the National Police Agency said yesterday. Many victims of deepfake sex crimes were also in their teens, with 62% of the total number of victims being teenagers last year. South Korea's media regulator also said it plans to hold a working-level talk with officials from Telegram in the near future to discuss their joint response to deepfake porn content on the platform. Country adds over 100,000 jobs in August. South Korea added more than 100,000 jobs for the second consecutive month in August, but jobs in the construction sector fell by the most ever amid an industry slowdown and extreme heat wave. The number of employed people came to 28.8 million last month, up 123,000 from a year earlier, according to the data compiled by Statistics Korea. Information and communications sectors led job growth at 9.7%. On the contrary, the construction sector lost 84,000 positions, marking losses for 4 consecutive months due to poor industry performances and hot weather. Autumnal heat wave hits peak with Incheon seeing record high temperatures. The September heat wave hit its peak yesterday with Incheon marking its highest ever September temperatures and Seoul its second highest. Both cities saw their daytime highs exceed 34 degrees Celsius. The rain front, which hit the southern coast yesterday, will spread nationwide today, bringing temperatures down somewhat. But the Korea Meteorological Administration, or KMA, says that around 80% of the country is still under a heat wave advisory, and tropical nights will continue for some time. Footballer Son Jun-ho claims innocence in match-fixing scandal. South Korean football player Son Jun-ho yesterday denied match-fixing and bribery charges levied on him by China, claiming that Chinese authorities coerced him into a false admission of bogus charges that landed him in Chinese jail for 10 months. Son held a press conference a day after the Chinese Football Association, or CFA, slapped him with a lifetime ban from manipulating matches for illegal gains. The CFA added that it is sending its findings to FIFA, which may apply the ban globally. This could end Son's career at age 32. The West likely to allow Ukraine to use long-range missiles in Russia. The U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken strongly hinted that the White House is about to lift its restrictions on Ukraine using long-range weapons supplied by the West on key targets inside Russia. The comment came during his meeting with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky and British Foreign Secretary David Lammy in Kyiv. Lammy suggested Iran's dispatch of ballistic missiles to Moscow, revealed this week, had changed strategic thinking in London and Washington, calling it a significant and dangerous escalation. This was News Highlights. All right, it is now time for Wagle.
Yay.
So Haley's back. She's yaying herself. Yay.
Yay, I'm here, you guys.
Okay, so the first item we're going to talk about, the parliamentary questioning of the government. It is going on.
Mm-hmm.
And lawmakers criticize the government's diplomacy and foreign policy with Japan.
Right, so a lot of attention is being showered over the U.S. presidential debate, but which we won't be covering here. I mean, there was so much Wagle-worthy stuff going on, but,
Yes.
you know, cat's pick and special interview. But there was plenty of debating and debacles going on in the South Korean parliament as well,
Yes.
between the party lawmakers and the official government officials. So, according to the People Power Party, the ruling party, they're saying that South Korea and Japan's relations, they had normalized after a drop during the former Moon Jae-in administration. On the other hand, though, the opposition claims that the administration, the Yoon administration, has a very clear pro-Japanese tendency. And this all kind of exploded during the questioning involving Prime Minister Han Duck-soo, where Democratic Party lawmakers accused Han of coming off as more of a Japanese prime minister than a Korean one, which of course Han called insulting.
Yes, but what the prime minister said about Dokdo Day, that's also come under fire, though.
Right. So there is a movement by civic groups and some lawmakers to designate Dokdo Day, which is October 25th, as a national holiday. It is just celebrated on a civilian level at this point.
Yes.
But speaking to this move, Prime Minister Han said that one has to be very careful. For his reasoning, he stated that South Korea effectively rules over Dokdo, has jurisdiction over Dokdo, and making the islet come off as a, quote, region of territorial dispute would be an inferior diplomatic policy. So basically, why poke at the bear? And he said that this is, that would be, so not, you know, designating Dokdo Day and putting this into international spotlight would be a more reasonable diplomatic philosophy.
I see. So that's what happened there. Next, this case once again drives home the point that emergency calls to 119, they should only be for emergencies.
Right, and then a disclaimer that you can call 119 to find an emergency room or a doctor's office operating near you, especially do that during the holidays if, you know, need it be. But here's a case, there's a hypothetical. If you called an ambulance, but you are in an okay enough condition to take a shower, should you have called that ambulance?
Is it really an emergency?
I don't know. You tell me. All right. Waivers. I'll let you be the judge.
Okay.
Also, then in that case, if the first responder had to wait for you, wouldn't he be justified in perhaps yelling at you a little bit?
Whoa, that's like going way beyond. I think. I mean, if you're going to take a shower, do it quickly.
It's a little complicated. All right, so this happened last August. This person called 119 from a hotel. He or she is a Korean national but had been living overseas. They came back into the country for cancer treatment. So this person said that they had spiked a fever. They were suffering from like a cold or they had just ailments before.
Yes.
Well, 119 dispatcher said, we'll call you an ambulance. But the patient at that point said, well, I hadn't been able to shower for the past 3 days because I was sick. Can I have a time to shower? Can I have some time to shower? So the situation room, the dispatcher said, and I think this is going way above and beyond, then we'll make the arrangement so the ambulance gets to the hotel in half an hour.
Okay.
Which I didn't know we could reserve ambulances for
I
that.
didn't know either.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm just saying that seems nice enough. The ambulance got to the hotel in 22 minutes. And we are parsing through the minutes because it is important. The patient came down to the lobby 6 minutes after the ambulance got there. So if we are going to parse through the details, the dispatch worker said
30 minutes.
30 minutes. He or she did get down there in 28 minutes. But, anyways. So the first responder, the ambulance worker, said to the patient, you can't make, sir or ma'am, you cannot make an ambulance wait like this.
Okay.
And apparently there was some yelling or at least a loud voice.
Raised voices. Yes.
Involved. So the patient got to the hospital. It's fine. But later lodged a complaint.
Really?
Yeah, about the first responder being rude, about the yelling.
And this is what happened.
They received a warning. The first responder, received a warning. Of course, this doesn't lead to immediately to like docked pay or suspension, but
still,
it can affect him negatively in further human HR decisions.
Exactly.
Yeah. So upon this, the first responder lodged a petition to the fire agency to get that warning removed. The fire agency turned it down. Then he filed an administrative lawsuit against the mayor of Incheon. That's because he's the final decision maker on the mayor wasn't involved in this personally. So he explained that he told the patient that this could delay responses to other emergency patients by waiting for the person to finish taking a shower for 6 minutes. And he did raise his voice, but he didn't violate any laws or work regulation. Also, it's not in a 119 worker's job description to be kind.
To be kind and to wait for you while you take a shower.
It's in their job description to drive the ambulance as fast as possible and save lives. So, I mean, hurt feelings are hurt feelings, but that's it, isn't it? I'm just saying. So, well, I'm justified in saying this because the court also agreed with him and ordered the city to cancel this warning.
I see. So that's, I guess, a conclusion.
Right.
To that story, but I wish it had not happened in the first place.
I do wish. I mean, I understand that people can be rude and feelings can be hurt. My feelings have been hurt multiple times, but very sensitive person. But if we can kind of stop the practice of lodging official complaints over hurt feelings, would make lives of public officials a lot easier.
Yes, yes.
But there are lines that shouldn't be crossed.
Of
and
course.
there are like harassment is one thing, but I'm just saying.
All right. Next, an international manhunt is underway for this Australian man who poured hot coffee on a baby. I heard this story and I was just
horrible.
like, what?
This is
what
so
in the world?
And this was, I mean, not that it justifies any of this, but it was also a random attack in Brisbane last month that has shocked the nation and also the world. So this 33-year-old unnamed man allegedly just randomly poured not just hot, but boiling coffee on a 9-month-old boy, infant, leaving him with serious burns to his face and limbs. So the infant and the family, they were just enjoying a picnic. This is, a wonderful day gone terribly wrong.
I just don't get it.
At a park at the end of August, witnesses say that a strange man approached them and emptied a flask on the child before.
Is that the baby?
Yeah, that's the baby before he fled. And this is, this is also, I heard that, in tragedies or in horrible cases, always look for people who are helping. That really does restore faith in humanity. There was an off-duty nurse at the park. She took the baby to her home, which was very close to the park, and put him under an ice bath to stop the burn. So she really went above and beyond. But Unfortunately, the burns had been too severe. He has already gone through multiple surgeries, and there's a long road to recovery. Multiple skin graft surgeries also waiting as well. So the Queensland Police, they have issued an arrest warning for this person for intending to cause grievous bodily harm. And that, by the way, charges a possible life sentence.
Oh, that's
so
him?
that's the
That's the
man.
guy?
But on Monday, he left the country.
Oh,
He flew out
really?
of Sydney Airport 6 days after the incident. So apparently the police, they know his name and which country he fled to, but they're
Yes.
actually keeping that under wraps in case he, gets wind of things and tries to flee again. So there's a massive international cooperation happening right now. It's just not made public.
I see.
So
but
hopefully
what a
he'll be brought to
tragedy.
justice. What a horrible thing to do.
Right, and I don't know where he flew to, but if you see this man,
right.
call the authorities.
Right,
Yes.
right.
All right, lastly, we can forgive a lot of behavior for young people who haven't had, kind of time to learn the ways of a workplace. But this one may have taken things a little too far.
All right, so we've all written our resumes
Yes.
and cover letters. And, if you do look at maybe, for example, if I look at my college resume that I used to apply to an internship that I didn't get, maybe I'll now as a 30-whatever-year-old, I'll look at it and be like, of course you didn't get it with that. What did you do? But how about this? At least I typed my resume.
Do people not type their...
I mean, in the 21st century, we
Yeah.
do. Even in the 20th century.
Right.
But this person handed in a handwritten, and by the way, that would be me being kind, a hand-scribbled resume.
Please tell me we have some sort of...
We do.
Is that the visual?
That is the visual.
On our YouTube
yeah,
channel.
And we've had to
What
blur
is
out
that?
the personal information. So an employer posted this piece of paper. It's just a piece of paper online. It's a white sheet of paper. If you can't tune into our YouTube, with the applicant's name, phone number, address in handwritten letters. And then, you're supposed to have this, your experiences and / education. We usually do a table for that.
Yes.
He or she drew in a table.
It's not even straight.
But didn't
It's
use a
crooked.
straight edge. That's
It's
why I say
crooked.
scribbled, because it's just drawn in. Yeah.
I could have
Yeah.
done better with my left foot. No, because this is so unprofessional.
It's so unprofessional.
Right.
But I mean, let's excuse a lot of behavior for people being young and inexperienced.
Young
Not
and
to
stupid.
throw Lydia under the bus again, but leaving work early.
That was Lydia. Are you listening still? We're so
Oh my
caught on
God.
that.
And then coming here ailing, but
Yes.
people change. Obviously, I grill meat now. I don't just sit there and be like do. Yeah, during 회식, whatever. But the employer said that this resume. And that's such a nice, kind way of saying it. The resume left him speechless. Netizens chimed in, saying that even if you don't have job experience, this seems to be common sense. I mean, they went presumably since they put in education, they went to school. Teachers hopefully told him or her this. Other applicants also, other netizens also said that they do have experience of applicants turning in their application. And in Korea, it is customary to put in your photo. There's a official passport style photo.
Yes.
Not with that, but with a selfie.
Oh no! Are you serious? That like a
selfie?
Oh gosh!
I mean, by the way, this is completely cultural. I know professors and professionals who have kind of selfie-esque photos for their office photo on their website. I've seen that. That's a whole different thing, but. Assuming this is those are established professionals who can maybe get away with a little bit, although they maybe shouldn't. I don't know, but in Korea, you do get an official photo taken for job applications. So it's very interesting.
It is. Wow.
It's fun.
Lots
Yeah.
of things to woggle about, but thank you so much. We'll check in with you tomorrow.
Have a great day.
All right. And now it's back to you, the listeners. It's time for your updated traffic and weather. It is now 8:17. Here's your updated traffic report. There was an accident on Shincheon from the Yongdang Customs Office. Going to the Dongmyeong Five-Way intersection, right before the intersection, there was a cargo truck and a car that collided. That's actually causing a lot of backup right now. It's also slow on Suyeong-no from KBS Three-Way intersection to Daenam intersection. It's backed up on Yeonsu-do from Suyeong intersection to Mangmi intersection. And lastly, congestion on Jungangdaero from Chwacheon Three-Way intersection to Busan-jin subway station. It's currently 27 degrees under cloudy skies. It's going to go up to 33, and there's a chance of rain in the middle of the day. So have your umbrella ready. Looking at other parts of the nation, rain is forecast for much of the nation, with the central region seeing rain into the night. Some regions will see up to 80 millimeters. So please be careful out there. There will be a slight drop in temperatures after the rain, but it's still going to be warmer than usual. This was your traffic and weather. How about this? This is Stop This Train by John Mayer.
Black and white. Try to keep an open mind, but I just can't sleep on this tonight. Stop this train, I wanna get off and go home again. I can't take the speed it's moving in. I know I can't, but honestly, won't someone stop this train? Don't know how else to say it. Don't wanna see my parents go. One generation's length away from fighting life out on my own. Stop this train, I wanna get off and go home again. I can't take the speed it's moving in. I know I can't, but honestly, won't someone stop this train? Find a way to say that life has just begun. Had a talk with my old man, said help me understand. He said turn 68, you renegotiate. Don't stop this train, don't for a minute change the place you're in. Don't think I couldn't ever understand. I tried my hand, John, honestly, we'll never stop this train. stop this train. I wanna get off and go home again. I can't take the speed it's moving in. I know I can't, 'cause now I see I'll never stop this train.
What a great song for this almost fall, season. So today we're talking about your work experiences, especially as you were a newbie, if you had any faux pas. And I also, on the side, asked for a 사행시 for 뽀시래기. And of course, we have 고수 waiver who sent his in. 뽀송뽀송한 시절이래요. 내일도 뽀시래기이지만 기죽지 않아요. That was so poetic. That was really sincerely, really good. Not just because you were just of two people that sent it in, but I'm going to read another one from, this time, someone who sometimes gets under my skin, but I love him nonetheless. AKA Tommy, AKA Jerry. Okay, so 뽀록 나버렸다. 시험 보냈던 프로젝트가 레귤레이터가 고장난 기준 미달의 물건이라는 거. How do you come up with this stuff? It's like I can't even I don't even know how to translate it into English. That was so amazing. You guys are like both poets, but do you kind of sense the difference? Like you can sense the engineer side brain of Tommy versus 고수님, like so poetic, but both equally impressive. So thanks for sharing your stories with us, and I will be back in just a moment with our special interview.
Kamala Harris. Let's have a good debate.
See, have fun.
He is more interested in defending himself than he is in looking out for you.
Soundbite. Will she allow abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, 7th month?
Come on.
Okay, would you do that?
I think this is so rich, coming from someone who has been prosecuted for national security crimes, economic crimes, election interference.
It will be the end of our country. She's a Marxist. Everybody knows she's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist professor in economics.
Yes, in that highly anticipated debate yesterday, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, they clashed over key issues ranging from things like the economy to immigration and abortion, plus other topics as well. Both candidates took pretty bold stances, seeking to define kind of the election's central themes. So the debate, which marked their first and possibly only face-off, also saw an unexpected endorsement from pop star Taylor Swift for Harris as well. So let's break it down with Professor Robert Rowland, who is a professor in the Department of Communication Studies at the University of Kansas. Let's say hi to him right now. Hi, Professor. Thanks for joining us.
Great to be here.
Yes. So first of all, I want your take. How would you evaluate the overall performance of Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump in this debate?
I thought it was a pretty one-sided debate, to be honest. I thought Harris, she doesn't provide a great deal of detail or supporting evidence, but she laid out a pretty clear agenda. She also did a good job of both defending and separating herself a little bit, saying she's different than President Biden. And she got a lot stronger as the debate went on. I thought the first 5 minutes was the weakest part of the debate for her. Now, former President Trump, it was difficult to follow many of his answers. They were just not that coherent. he didn't cite very much evidence, and he made extreme claims about his own accomplishments as president. In a general rule, it's not effective in the United States to sound angry. Some of the most effective presidents, President Obama talked about the audacity of hope. President Reagan talked about it being morning again in America. Former President Trump sounded pretty angry. And there also were some good examples in the introductory clip of the fourth thing I thought about his performance, that he said a number of things that he says often the fact checkers have debunked. For example, there is no place in the United States where it is legal to kill a baby after birth.
Right.
Many of the other things he said are just simply not true. That's not my opinion. That's the professional fact checkers. So I think she had a good night, and he had not a very good night. Not at all what happened in June.
Yes. So thanks for you breaking it down for us. But do you expect any changes in the poll numbers, though, following this debate? What do you think?
Former President Trump has very strong support, and it kind of varies. He usually maxes out at 44, 45, 46%. I think I don't think that number is likely to go down very much. I think the question is, did Kamala Harris satisfy people who had questions about her, who didn't know very much about her? And I think she certainly made movement in that direction if the American past political history is relevant. And then there are a group of people who could vote for Trump. I caught many of them are independents who don't follow politics very carefully. And there is also a residual group of the remaining real Reagan Republicans. And did he offend that group? I mean, when Dick Cheney endorses Kamala Harris,
yes,
that's a sign that Reagan Republicans, the remaining Reagan Republicans, do not generally support Donald Trump. And did he irritate that group even more? I think in both counts, I think Harris may have reassured people, and I think Trump may have offended people. But the polls have been they've been stuck in a very narrow margin for a very long time in American politics. So I think there may be a little bump, but I don't think there'll be that much.
Right. So I want to address one of the real, major sound bites from the debate, the whole issue of Trump claiming that migrants are basically eating, in one particular area, people's pets, their cats and dogs. And that actually made, of course, waves all around the world. So to put it into context, what is he referring to?
It's basically an internet rumor that has no support for it.
Yes.
And he's drawing on negative attitudes about undocumented immigrants. And, the social science on this, for example, on crime, undocumented immigrants do commit crimes because they're human beings, but they do it at a lower rate than native-born Americans. And the stuff about eating cats and dogs is just a made-up internet rumor. In fact, I was just reading that one of the bloggers who is spreading this rumor is not an American, is from Southeast Asia. I mean, it's just a rumor for which there is no support. Now, the ABC comment and news people who corrected Trump, they got a lot of criticism for it. But this is just a false statement, like the statement about killing babies after birth. That's just false.
Yes, indeed. Well, I do want to touch upon that issue that you just talked about, the whole issue of abortion. This is a major issue in America. So with Harris defending women's right to choose and their right to reproductive health, Trump emphasizing whatever he emphasized. So how do these opposing views reflect the broader divide actually in the American people, the electorate, though?
Trump is trying to sidestep the issue. because he knows that a sizable majority of the American people favor reproductive freedom and abortion rights similar to that we had in Roe v. Wade. That's why Trump says things. Former President Trump said, for example, he said everyone wanted to get rid of Roe v. Wade, and that's just blatantly false. He's saying that because he's trying to deflect from the issue. He wants to get credit for eliminating Roe v. Wade from the evangelical Christians who very strongly support him.
Yes.
But he doesn't want to be blamed by others, and that's why he's trying to deflect. And in that instance, by saying something that this isn't just me saying it; it's just blatantly false.
Yes, yes. And I do want to touch upon his comments regarding race, such as dismissing past accusations of racial discrimination, and even, bringing it up again, the fact that Kamala Harris, of her Asian heritage or her, being a black woman, he brought that up again. And do you think that actually is just feeding into his voter base, but versus also people who might be on the fence? I mean, that could be really offensive, right?
Well, it definitely, and I think not only could be, but is offensive for many people. I mean, she went to Howard University, one of the great universities among historically black college and universities. I mean, there is no question that she's identified as both black and South Asian throughout her whole life. And I think the larger question is, and that it also irritates people, is Trump seems to care so much about that, rather than caring about her qualifications and program. And so that clearly he taps into a group of American voters who are very worried about the pace of demographic change in the United States. But for others, who want to celebrate America as not defined by ethnicity, but by ideals, I think that group might find this very offensive. And by the way, there are many traditional Republicans who fall into that last group. President Reagan talked about how America was an empire of ideals. He used that phrase in his last important speech. I do think it's comments like that lead the Walz's criticism of Trump as weird. It is kind of weird when he said that Harris had, quote, turned black. It's not as if people had not known this her entire life.
I mean, just the aesthetic, it's visible. And like you said, she went to Howard. But anyhow, given the hyper-polarized nature of U.S. politics right now, how much of an impact can a strong debate performance realistically have on shifting voter opinions in these key swing votes? Because the last debate, let's be honest, that was kind of the nail in the coffin, unfortunately, for sitting President Joe Biden, where he did ultimately choose to not run again. But I mean, how much of an impact can this debate have?
Well, I think you're getting at a really important point, which is that we watch debates to see if someone has the qualifications to be president of the United States, and also to see if there's somebody like us, someone we trust. And I think it's hard to say that Harris didn't help herself a lot on both those grounds. And I don't think President Trump helped himself. I mean, I've been studying his rhetoric. I wrote a book about his rhetoric, and he is noticeably less focused than he has been in the past. And he says more really wild things than he said. He always did, but it's more of them. So, but again, your point that we're so polarized. On the other hand, a bump of 1 or 2%, would really, really help Harris and hurt former President Trump.
And I'm wondering about what you just talked about, Professor, this kind of unhingedness seemingly becoming more apparent as we get into the last few weeks of this election season. Do you think that it is more of him being nervous about the numbers, about who he's going up against? Or could this also be a sign of the fact that, Donald Trump is not as young, or, he's older, he's up there as well. So what do you think of this?
Well, I can't diagnose his medical condition, but I can say from my study of all his major rhetorical experiences that he says more of these things than he used to say. And there are comments that play into the criticism of his campaign as just weird. And for example, irritating Taylor Swift, that was a mistake because there are so many Swifties all around the United States.
Right.
And he has managed to activate them. So I don't think his performance helped him. I think the other thing that we saw last night is how easy it is to get under his skin.
Right.
I mean, imagine after Harris made the comment about his rallies and people leaving, if he had said, the issue is not my rallies. The issue is the affordability of life in America, and you and Biden have made things work. But he didn't say that. Instead, he took the bait and responded in a way that I think many people made him look petty.
And I also do want to touch upon Harris also. If you had to, at least offer some point of criticism. You mentioned in the beginning, maybe not so detailed in laying out her policies. Is there anything else that she could maybe work on also?
Well, there were a couple times she was asked about changing her positions on 3 issues, and she only talked about one of them. But really, in a 90-minute unscripted debate, she did pretty well. And, if you think of the people who have been the most effective public persuaders since in the modern debate era, even Barack Obama had bad moments. And Ronald Reagan had one very bad debate. Right. So, when you're sailing along at the kind of standard of Obama or Reagan, you've had a good night. And so that's not a partisan judgment because Reagan, great Republican, Obama, great Democrat. It's just a matter of adapting to the constraints of the situation. And I thought she did quite well.
Well, we're going to, be waiting with bated breath until, of course, Election Day. We're going to continue to cover this. But thank you so much for coming on air with us and sharing your views with our listeners. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for asking such great questions.
Thank you, Professor. This was Professor Robert Rowland, and we talked about that U.S. presidential debate. So far, nothing's been confirmed. So it does look like this might be a one and done. If there is another debate in the future, of course, we will cover that too. And for now, though, we're going to get to this song. How about this? Forget You by CeeLo Green.
Forget you. I guess the change in my pocket wasn't enough. I'm like, forget you and forget her too. Said if I was richer, I'd still be richer. But wait, that's some shit. Ain't that some shit? And although there's pain in my chest, I still wish you the best. But forget you. Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't afford a Ferrari. But that don't mean I can't get you there. I guess he's an Xbox and I'm more Atari. But the way you play your game ain't fair. I picture the fool that falls in love with you. Oops, she's a gold digger. Well, just don't you know. Ooh, I've got some news for you. Yeah, go on and run tell your little boy free. See you driving round town with the girl I love. Forget you. I guess the change in my pocket wasn't enough. I'm like, forget you and forget her too. Said if I was richer, I'd still be richer. But wait, that's some shit. And although there's pain in my chest, I still wish you the best. Forget you. Now I know that I had to borrow, begging, stealing, lying, cheat, trying to keep you, trying to please you. Being in love with your ass ain't cheap. Now I picture the fool that falls in love with you. Oops, she's a gold digger. Well, just don't you know. Ooh, I've I really hate your ass right now. See you driving round town with the girl I love, and I'm like, forget you. I guess the change in my pocket wasn't enough. I'm like, forget you and forget her too. Said if I was richer, I'd still be with ya. No, ain't that some shit? And although that's pain in my chest, I still wish you the best. But forget you. Now, baby, 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 why you wanna hurt me so bad? So bad, so bad, so bad. I tried to tell my mama, but she told me this is one for your dad. Yeah, she did. And I was like, why? Why, baby? I love you. I still love you. I see you driving round town with a girl I love. Forget you. I guess the change in my pocket wasn't enough. I'm like, forget you and forget her too. Said if I was richer, I'd still be with ya. No, ain't that some shit? And although that's pain in my chest, I still wish you the best. But forget you.
Get your local up-to-date news from Korea and abroad right here on Morning Wave in Busan with Catherine. Stay tuned.
It is now time for City Insights. We have Haeyeon in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, good, good. I'm so
Yeah.
excited about our segment.
Okay, I'm excited about it too. So
Yes.
today we're going to dive into Dika poetry, short for digital camera poetry. So it's a new type of literary genre that combines digital photography, hence
Yes.
the word Dika, and poetry. So it's all about capturing these moments with your digital camera or the camera on your smartphone, expressing it through a short poem right on the spot.
Yes.
I met with the president of the Busan Dika Poem Association, Professor Jung Yoo-ji, who teaches in the Department of Digital Creative Writing at Gyeongnam College of Information and Technology.
It's so like on point and on trend, this whole digital age. And then, is it true that Dika poetry, Dika, she started in Korea? Like this is the origin, the birthplace?
Yes. So it actually started 20 years ago in Goseong, here in South Gyeongsang Province, by the poet Lee Sang-ok. And this sort of spread as a very regional literary movement at the time. And around that time, that's when social media platforms and smartphones really started booming. So
Yes.
it was the perfect storm. And according to the Korea Dika Poem Institute, there are around 10,000 Dika poets in Korea and between 10 to 20,000 around the world. And what's interesting is international college students in Korean language programs,
Right.
they're actually using Dika poetry to study Korean.
Wow, this is so interesting. So I hear that there's a new magazine that was published all about these Dika poems.
Yes. So Professor Jung Yoo-ji edited the first volume of 한국 디카시 magazine, which is a collection of dozens of these Dika poems, and each poem is paired with a single photograph. Now, what's nice is some of them are written by professional poets, but others are just everyday people from different walks of life. For example, the manager of the Ulsan HD Football Club, Mr. Kim Pan-gon, has a poem in it too. So actually, let's take a listen to Professor Jung Yoo-ji introduce his own poem titled Pacemaker. And actually, while you listen to the poem, we're going to have the photograph that goes along with this poem on our YouTube live stream. So let's check it out.
페이스메이커. 나는 우승이 목표가 아니다. 신기록을 견인하는 역할에 최선을 다할 뿐이다. 정유지. 조연이 있기에 주연이 빛난다라는 말이 있는데요. 그 조연은 주연을 빛나게 만드는 빛과 소금 같은 존재입니다.
네.
특히 마라톤의 조연은 페이스메이커죠. 페이스메이커가 제대로 역할을 못 해주면 기록 단축은 어려울 수밖에 없습니다. 상황에 따라 페이스메이커는 10km, 20km, 30km, 40km로 각각 구분해서 달리는 임무가 부여됩니다.
네.
40km까지 달렸으면 결승점까지 달릴 수 있는 거 아니냐라고 반문할 수 있죠. 그렇지만 그들은 우승하려고 온 것은 아니라 바로 신기록 견신의 신견인차의 역할을 해주는 조연 임무로 달리는 선수들입니다. 주연만을 고집할 것이 아니라 주인공이 내 등을 바라보고 달릴 수 있는 조연 역할도 자청할 수 있는 페이스메이커를 꿈꾸는 작품입니다.
So he said there's the saying, the lead of a movie or a show shines because of the supporting cast, and their role is so important to the success of the main performance.
Yes.
And in marathons, pacemakers play a similar role, running certain distances to help the lead runners set records. So their purpose of running is not to win, but to support others in reaching their goals.
Yes.
And the photograph that went with that poem was the Pinocchio statue that's in front of the Gyeongnam College of Information and Technology's campus.
Yes.
Now, those of us who walk around Centum
here.
City in Busan might recognize it. So at that school, he says the active senior students that he teaches are taking on new challenges every day, and he's very happy to be in this role as a pacemaker for them, helping them push their limits and finish their race in life with strength and grace. So I think looking at that image as he goes to work every day to meet his students inspired this poem.
I love that pacemaker. And it's very accessible, this art form that we're talking about right now. So if you have a digital camera, a D camera or a DCam or a smartphone, it's very doable to create such a tikashi or a tika poem.
So all you really need is a photo that inspires a thought or a feeling. And they don't really have strict rules, but they say that it's recommended to be shorter, under 5 lines. And they say that if the objects in the photo aren't mentioned in the poem, the better. So the less literal, the better. And I think poetry can be a little difficult for some people, a little esoteric. But when I take a look at all the poetry in the magazine, they feel very much poetry of the people, by the people. Yes. So I want to show another example. Actually. So we're going to see that image on our YouTube live stream. Now, this is an image, a picture of a gachi, a magpie, kind of turned around, showing her back in front of a red brick wall.
Yes.
And there's like dried, leaves. 약간 조금 쌀쌀한 느낌이 들지 않나요?
Oh, kind of.
Yeah. And
so what's the title of this?
The title is 냉전 중.
So can we dedicate it to...
Who shall we dedicate it to?
Yes, let's read it.
Okay, so it goes 냉전 중 찬바람 일으키며 쌩 그늘지게 돌아앉아 불러도 대꾸 없네. 세상에서 가장 무서운 그녀의 침묵 by poet Kim Jong-sun. So yeah, I think this is a poem perhaps written by a husband who is reflecting on himself after having a fight with his wife.
Like if we had to translate that like real quick, the scariest thing, like can we get into like the latter part?
Sitting with your back to me with a cold wind and shade. The scariest thing in the world, her silence.
I love it. I love it. I got to save this one.
I love it. It's so
cute
to think of, a fight you had with your partner looking at a bird. I love it.
Love it.
And here's another one.
Okay.
This one is titled 무욕. So I guess it would translate to no greed or free from greed. And it's an image of a dried fish hanging with its belly kind of split open. And this one reads like this.
Okay.
오장육부 드러내고 마음까지 드러내면 속상할 일은 없지. So it says, if I reveal all my organs and even my heart, I guess my insides won't have to rot.
But that photo is so fitting, but It's, oh.
And it's a play on words like
yes.
rotting and getting upset.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I love it. What a striking image.
Oh, do we have time for another one?
Yes, we have a few more actually.
Okay.
And if we could have the honor of you, Catherine, reading the next one.
I get to read one? Oh, no.
Yes.
Okay, Korean reading. Here we go.
So the next one
Yes.
is an image of 3 white ducks by the water. And it seems like they're almost having a conversation with each
It
other.
looks like it. Yes, yes. So here we go. 오리가 오리여야 하는 이유. 엄마, 우리 안에서 놀아도 먹을 거 주잖아요. 추운데 꼭 물에 들어가야 돼요? 물에서 헤엄치지 않으면 우릴 돼지로 안단다. 그러면 좀 어때요? 그러면 우리가 꿀꿀하고 울어야 한다는데 그럴 자신 있니? So that was my interpretation.
I love it. We might have needed a little reverb on that.
Of little ducklings having a little conversation
Why
with
should
mommy
ducks be ducks? Yeah.
Yes. Why should they?
Because they don't want to oink.
They don't want to. They don't want to be known as pigs. Is the whole point of this poem.
I was very inspired by this,
Yes.
so I actually took it upon myself and wrote a Dika poem myself.
Oh, really?
PD님, shall we actually just go to the second one?
The
since
second
we're running out of
one.
time.
Yeah, okay,
So,
okay.
Image 6.
6. Okay.
All right, so this is a photo of my beloved puppy, Dongi.
Oh, we all know Dongi. We love Dongi.
So she was just, lying down one day on the blanket, just, without a care in the world.
Yes.
So this one is titled 안부.
안부. Okay.
무슨 생각해? 어떤 기분이야? 편안하니? 행복하니? 같이 놀래?
Aww. Aww. So how about in English? What would
Okay,
you
in
say?
English, the title is Hi with 3 eyes. What you think?
Yes.
What you thinking about? How you feeling? You comfy? You happy? Wanna lie next to me?
Oh, so good. You're so talented. I love it.
Because sometimes, being close to somebody just means sitting with each other or lying
Yes.
next to each other.
That's true.
Yeah.
Just letting it all kind of hang out.
So yeah, it's a very accessible, fun way to express yourselves. Dika, digital camera poetry.
I want to try it. I'm serious.
Kind of like a way
I
of
like
journaling
it.
your everyday. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for bringing this to our attention and
Yes.
hopefully inspiring some of our waivers out there to try it. Tikashi, right?
All right.
All right. Thank you, Heian. And excuse me, happy Chuseok. We'll check in with you next week.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Well, it is time to wrap things up for today. And by the way, I did kind of post it on our NoTube chat room, but today also happens to be September 11th in the States. And for those of you who do mark this day, this really day did change the way we do things in everyday life, even traveling. And of course, to mark it 23 years ago, it was 9/11. So just wanted to say that. All right, now it is time to wrap up our program. So a big thanks to our entire staff, of course, our producer and our writers, and I'll be back tomorrow. Final song is this one, Pipi by IU. Bye, everybody.
요즘엔 뭔가요 내가 색 탐색하는 불빛 스캐너 스캐너 오늘은 몇 점인가요 Jealous jealous 걔는 대체 왜 저런 옷을 좋아한담 기분을 알 수 없는 그 표정은 뭐람 내가 달라진 건 아마 스트레스 때문인가 걱정요 쟤도 참 Yellow C-A-R-D 이 선 넘으면 침범이야 babe 매너는 여기까지 is my mind Please skip the la 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 Hello stupid-ID 그 선 넘으면 정색이야 babe Stop it 거리 유지해 cause we don't know Come on we don't anything I don't care 당신의 비밀이 뭔지 저마다의 사정 역시 정중히 사양할게요 Not my business 이대로 좋아요 Talk less Still me 너의 오늘 날 거 없이 I'm sure you're gonna say my gosh 바빠지는 눈빛 Checking 매일 틀린 그림 찾기 Hashtagging 꼿꼿하게 걷다가 삐끗 넘어질라 다들 수군대는